UFC Fight Night Sandhagen versus Nurmagomedov is upon us. It's not the best card of the year for sports betting, but it's got some good fights lined up. So let's get into the breakdown. First fight of the night is gonna be Cedric Dumas versus Denis Tiuliulin. Now let's start off with Denis Tiuliulin. He's had 5 fights in the UFC, he lost 4 of them. Every single one of his fights did not go the distance. He was either finishing guys or getting finished. The competition he has faced has been a lot stiffer and better than Cedric Dumas. Getting finished against a guy like Gregory Rodriguez or Christian Leroy Duncan, that's not anything to scoff at. Cedric Dumas, on the other hand, he lost to a guy named Josh Fremd. That's something we can scoff at. Now, Cedric Dumas, he lost his last fight against Ruziboyev. It was controversial because it did have an eye poke involved. And then Ruziboyev, the ref didn't stop it, so he just took advantage, landed some shots, put Dumas down, fight called off. People will complain about the way that fight finished, but I think Ruziboyev would have won regardless of the eye poke because he's just a better fighter. Cedric Dumas, before that loss, was on a 2-fight win streak, beating Cody Brundage by decision and Abu Azaidar. He's not that much of a finisher. His record might say he's a finisher, but as of watching UFC level competition, he's not gotten the finishes. I see him managing to squeak out a decision against Tiuliulin, even though Tiuliulin hasn't made it through 3 rounds. I see him finally being able to make it in this fight. I do want to say Dumas is going to win. I don't trust him, but the play in terms of betting is this fight to go the distance. Can Tiuliulin finally make it to 3 rounds? We'll see. Next up, we got Jai Herbert versus Rolando Bedoya. And this one is tricky because Bedoya is moving down a weight class and Jai Herbert is an up and down kind of fighter. I do believe he wins this one because he is the more skilled in the stand-up, and I see this fight being a striking fight. Bedoya has a granite chin, so it's going to be a challenge for him to get finished. Kenan Song and Chaos Williams couldn't finish him, so I don't see Jai Herbert being able to, unless the weight cut plays a huge factor. The pick and the play for this one is Jai Herbert to get it done. Next up is a strawweight bout between Victoria Dudakova and the gritty Sam Hughes. This one is a fade fight for me. But once the fight stays standing, I do see Dudakova getting it done. I don't think she'll be able to get the finish over Sam Hughes because Sam Hughes is really tough. But I'm not too confident on this one. Sam Hughes can use her wrestling to make the fight more competitive. I see Dudakova being able to keep the fight standing and win a decision. Next up, we have Jordan Vucinovic versus Guram Kutateladze. This one is a fun fight for the viewers. Guram coming off a loss against Elvis Brenner, but he was winning the majority of that fight until Elvis Brenner mounted a comeback victory, putting Guram down and out. I'm glad he took the time off to recover, and I see him matching up very well against the former Cage Warriors featherweight champion in Jordan Vucinovic. I see him implementing a grinding kind of approach on Jordan and making it a tough debut for him. I got Guram winning this one, but I'm fading because the value is not there. Big respect to Jordan for taking this fight on short notice. Next up, we have Shamil Gaziev versus Dontel Mays. And this one is going to be a heavyweight snooze fest. I see Gaziev winning, but I'm not so sure if he's going to win by finish because Dontel Mays is really hard to get out there. Definitely a fade fight for me, but I got Gaziev winning. Next up, we have Muhammad Yahya versus Kyle Fernandez, and this one is a hard one to put money on as well because these 2 guys lost their last fights, their debut fights in the UFC against guys that they should have beaten. Fernandez did impress me more in his loss to Mark Diakiese, so I'm picking Fernandez for this one, but fade it in terms of betting. Next up, we have Alonzo Menifee versus Asmat Murzakanov, and Alonzo Menifee is coming off a loss to the hands of Carlos Ulberg, rushing in to Ulberg and getting put down and out. Not that great of a game plan. But what is his team thinking, because he's coming back way too soon from that loss? He should have taken more time to recover, and coming back against a heavy-handed opponent like Murzakanov, this doesn't look too good for Menifee. The value is not where I would like it to be, so I'm feeding this one too. Also, Menifee has a chance with all the power that he has, but I think he came back way too soon for this one, and I got him getting beat by Murzakanov. Next up, we have Elvis Brenner versus Joel Alvarez, and this is gonna be fight of the night for me. I'm really biased here, guys. I do love the dog in Elvis Brenner. You can throw the kitchen sink at him and he'll keep coming. Alvarez is really solid opposition, and Brenner better not throw leg kicks at Alvarez, because he is very, very good at checking them, and he will make Brenner pay. I think I'm gonna put half a unit on the underdog here, because it's definitely worth the risk. He works hard and he's gonna try his best to get the job done, and that's what I want from my picks. He has the power to put anyone out, so that's why I'm going with Elvis Brenner. Next up, we have Lupita Godinez versus Mackenzie Dern, and boy oh boy do I hate this fight. I hate this fight so much, because the game plan on paper for Lupita is to keep the fight standing, because that's where you have your best chance. But she likes to take people down and play jiu-jitsu. Look at what she did to Verna, and she lost the fight she should have won. Keep the fight standing. Even if you keep the fight standing, it's going to be kind of tricky, because Lupita doesn't have the greatest striking in the world. And Mackenzie Dern looks in crazy good shape. Have you seen the video with her and Jason Perillo training striking recently? It looks good. Mackenzie is finally in fight shape. So this fight screams, do not put your money on it. I think Lupita still has the better striking, but she has to avoid takedowns at all costs. It's her best path to victory, so I'll take her as the pick, but I'm not placing my money on this one. On to a fight that everybody is going to disagree with me. Everybody's going to hate me for this one, for my breakdown, but Tony Ferguson versus Michael Chiesa. Now, I like Tony Ferguson a lot. Biased as hell with this. He's a battle-tested warrior on a really, really, really bad losing streak. But he's fighting Michael Chiesa, who is also on the tail end of his career. And the thing with Michael Chiesa is he's on a 3-fight losing streak right now. And 2 of those losses have came by Darce. Who is the master of a Darce? Who is a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu that loves a Darce? Tony Ferguson! I see Michael Chiesa making a slip up here, guys, and I see Tony catching him in a Darce. I'm putting half a unit on it. The odds are 5-1, so I understand if you want to keep your money and not put a bet on him. I'm placing this with my heart here. I want to see Tony get a good win and ride off into the sunset. In reality, I could see Michael Chiesa getting the victory here, but I just don't want to see it. Tony Ferguson, get me money! On to Marlon Chito Vera versus Davison Figueiredo. This one is a scrap. Marlon Chito Vera coming up against a former flyweight champion in Davison Figueiredo. Ever since Figueiredo moved up to the 135-pound division, he has looked brilliant. This speed and fight IQ has been off the charts. And Marlon is a notorious slow starter that relies on his power to finish fights. As this is a 3-rounder, I see it going against Marlon Vera. And finishing Davison Figueiredo is easier said than done. I see Figueiredo putting Marlon through hell in the first and second round and winning on the judges' scorecard. The pick and the play for this one is Davison Figueiredo to get the job done. On to the co-main event, Shara the Bullet Magomedov versus McCall. Shara's gonna win. I think Shara's striking is really impressive. And McCall, he's coming back way too soon after that armbar from Kevin Holland. I definitely do see that having a factor in this fight. And I see Shara landing so many kicks from all different angles, confusing McCall and getting a finish. On to the main event of the evening. Corey Sandhagen matched up against Umar Nurmagomedov. Now, mad respect goes out to Corey Sandhagen for taking a fight that nobody else wants to take. Umar is the boogeyman of the division, but with good reason. I do see Umar managing to win this fight by decision, taking Corey Sandhagen down in at least 3 of the rounds, managing to keep Corey Sandhagen down for a couple of them as well, getting control time, and managing to do enough to win a decision. It's a hard fight to play, and it's definitely one you want to fade, because Corey Sandhagen is really impressive, but I just like the Dagestani for this one. Call me biased, call me crazy, do what you want, but don't place your money on it. Big shout out to my boys Goldie the Goat and Carlos. You guys have been killing it in the comments. Love having conversations. Feel free if anybody else wants to join. Be sure to leave a like. That's all I got for you today. Leave comments down below. Follow me on TikTok. Follow me on Twitter. Support the channel on the Patreon. And I'll catch you in the next one. Until then, game time.